Technical and Policy Lead of Architecture Alliance, Charles Amissah-Koomson. Mr. Koomson, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
So I'm sure this is not the first time you keep hearing of buildings collapse. And for you at the Alliance, how do you feel when you hear of these things happening?
So, first of all, I say as a country we need to apologize for these occurrences, which is becoming one too many. This is not the first time.
Absolutely.
One that rings in the minds of the public is the Melcombe disaster.
Yeah,
a building that was supposed to be for a shopping center where people are going in, the public are going to shop, collapsed and killed people. We had a church incident somewhere in the Achim area that also came down. Yeah. And it is getting one too many as a country for a 4-story building to collapse when other countries are doing 20 to 100-story buildings. Then we need to ask ourselves serious questions. It is very sad for us as a country that this should be happening in this day and era of technology and everything that is going on. We should not be having building collapses.
So what are we not getting right?
So it is mainly, from our point of view as Architecture Alliance, institutions are failing to work.
Okay.
And it is not just one particular institution, because the construction industry is quite a risky one, just like any other industry. However, we have left it unchecked for a very long time. In recent times, we saw the demolition of buildings on waterways by the NADMO and other agencies. The question is, why was this building also allowed to stand if, as you are saying, people had complained that there were issues with the building? What it means is that some institutions have not done their work. There are some reports that the building belongs to it was a GET Fund project. Obviously, there's no GET Fund project without consultants, without professionals on it. It has been abandoned for a while. What does that mean? Meaning that we didn't actually have a budget to complete it. And that is the problem with most of the abandoned buildings around. They become death traps. People move in there when they are not even supposed to be in there.
Right.
We have people, it becomes a den for bad activities. We cannot mention them. So we need to have a discussion. There are so many institutions in the country that are responsible for construction. And there needs to be that coordination to ensure that these things don't happen. It is fundamentally an institutional failure that is causing all of this.
So how do we remedy the situation? Because, like I said earlier, this is just a little part of a broader picture of abandoned projects, uncompleted buildings, and buildings that lack a lot of structural integrity as it stands now. So how do we move from here?
So first of all, the country has a lot of laws regulating construction.
Right.
Construction should not be seen as just any endeavor that anybody who has money can just move in and start working. We need to enforce the laws. We have the National Building Regulations that tells you how buildings must be built and built safely.
Right.
It tells you how, even during construction, the municipal assemblies must be coming to site to inspect what is being done. The question is, they can even come to site, but how competent are the people coming to site to ensure that the right thing is being done? The building regulations will also tell you that a building of 3-story and above, the developer or the owner of the project should insist or have design professionals supervising these projects. And these design professionals should also even have professional indemnity insurance, so that for incidents like this, the indemnity insurance will kick in, but nobody enforces this. So the matter has got to do with enforcement of the laws that we have, and that is what we have to ensure. Anybody who gets money these days wants to invest in property because they feel that, yes, that is what is going to give them returns for their money. But nobody is checking what is being done. In fact, even the safety of the workers on site, nobody is talking about it. You can see somebody working on a high roof up there with no safety gear. All are things that we need to talk about because they are professionals. Mainly the district assemblies are stretched because you can imagine the number of developments going on. How many pickup vehicles do the assemblies even have to ensure that they go around and check all of this? When the drawings even come to them, how are they able to verify that these drawings are even coming from design professionals? So it is about time the Ministry of Works and Housing, the local government, discusses how we can bring professional bodies to the table to discuss this, because it is a blight on all of us as professionals, not just the developer, but for us professionals. It is a shame to see this thing going on. Because I had Surprisingly, yesterday, I'm working on a project that has a German consultant. He showed it to me that this is what has happened in Ghana. So it is not only a local affair. We need investors also to have confidence that we can do this in Ghana safely.
And briefly then, so for buildings of this nature, buildings that look like they are not strong enough, that are abandoned and all, what would you advise be done?
So currently, there is no particular law that allows the government to step in and let's say complete or even use it for another purpose. Because you can look on the airport stretch. There's a building that has been abandoned all this while. Meanwhile, other buildings have sprung around it and they have been completed. It's even an eyesore to the architecture of the country. What we can do is to ensure that, first of all, even when you are going for a permit for your project, we have to start looking at how you even intend to complete the building.
Okay.
We need to ensure that the professionals you have on board are certified to ensure, because some people testing is architects, but mostly structural failure has got to do with structural engineering.
Okay.
So we need civil engineers, structural engineers on board. We need plumbing engineers, electrical engineers, because sometimes what happens on site is there are changes, and it always happens. The client wants to move this around, and they fail to realize that they may have structural implications on the building.
Right.
So when you have the team there, they're able to advise. I was telling somebody yesterday about the project that I was working on, that the client wanted to change one of the floors to a storage, like a warehouse.
Right. Right.
The engineers had to tell him that no, this was not what it was designed for. But if he didn't, or he or she did not have an engineer on the project,
Clearly.
he was going to go on with it.
Very well. Well, Michael, thank you so much.